Welcome to the Fret Prince Podcast, improvisation topics for guitarists.
Hello and welcome to this episode. Today I'm going to talk a little bit about drop 2 voicings. So I'll briefly cover what they are and talk a little bit about how you might find them useful. So this is based on a question and a comment I received on the YouTube channel. So when we have a voicing and we have a closed voicing, we are stacking in thirds, and you can think about each string as a voice, and we're playing one voice on each string. So let's say for 4 strings. Now, when you have notes just kind of stacked in thirds like that, and maybe steps, it becomes very, very difficult on guitar in a practical way to actually play them. So I'll show you what I mean. So if we want a D minor chord, I'm going to start from the third of that chord. I'm just going to try to stack in thirds and then a whole step here. So I've got 4th finger on the 4th string, 15th fret, 3rd finger on the 14th fret, 3rd string, 2nd finger on the 13th fret, 2nd string, and the 1st string on the first finger on the 1st string, 10th fret. So if you're trying that along with me, it's very hard to play. Now, I'm going to use this chord as an example. So if we're maybe playing a 2-5, so this is D minor 7. If we're going to go on to a G7 chord, I might play something like this. So I have a 4th finger on the 15th fret of the 4th string, 2nd finger on the 3rd string, 12th fret, 3rd finger on the 2nd string, 12th fret, and 1st finger still on the 1st string, 10th fret. So if you're playing this along with me, you find it's very, very difficult to stretch like that, especially if you get into the lower areas, which is why I'm playing it up here. So essentially what we can do is, so if you're an arranger, you have a song and you're arranging for horns or some sort of instrument, you can rearrange the voicings, maybe move one note an octave lower. And so that's what we'll do. If we're playing a drop 2 voicing, we're starting with this D minor 7. Okay, what we're doing is creating kind of an action on this chord and ending up with something a little different, but we have the same notes. So we're going to drop the 2 1 octave. That's kind of the action. So what is the 2 then? The 2 is the second note from the highest. So our perspective is the highest note. So we're talking about this D as the highest note right now. So the second one from the highest note would be this C. So let's just look at our chord again. So this note on the 2nd finger, we're going to drop that 1 octave. So C is going to go down to here. Okay. So what does that leave us with? So we have the C, the F, and the A. So notice that the F and the A are the same notes I was playing before. And then that C, we've dropped it 1 octave. So now we're playing it on the 5th string. And it's on the 15th fret. And now we have this note all the way back here on the 10th fret. So we see we have an issue there with reaching that. So we'll take this note on the 10th fret and we'll put it on the 15th fret. Same note. Okay, and since we dropped that C on the 2nd string, we have this string available to us now. We don't need that spot. So then we have this. So I have 1st finger on the 3rd string, 14th fret. I have the 2nd finger on the 5th string, 3rd fret. 3rd finger on the 4th string, 15th fret. And then 4th finger on the second string, 15th fret. Okay. So what is this? Well, now, since we've dropped this note down, we've taken something from what was a first inversion, D minor 7, and made it into a third inversion, D minor 7. Okay, and it's something that's easier to play. So if I survey these notes, we have C, F, A, and D. Okay, so I'm going to move down and play those same notes, unison here, on the 10th fret. Okay. So now I'm just barring on the first 4 strings, 10th fret. Okay, so let's remember that because we'll come back to this. And you can try these down an octave and on the low 4 strings as well. Okay, so now let's talk about the G7, which we talked about, because we want to be able to use these in some way and see how they work together. So before we had this chord, and this moved pretty smoothly and nicely from D minor. It's just that it's very hard to play and probably not practical for a playing situation. And then we ended up with this. Okay, so just like we did before, let's try the drop 2. So we identify the second to highest note, that's the 2. We drop that 1 octave. That's down here. We keep the other notes the same. Okay. Now we find that we have this note way over here on the 10th fret of the first string. This is not entirely practical either. So we'll find this same note on the second string since now that's available to us. Okay, and we play first inversion, G7. Okay. Now let's move that in unison just as we did before. So if we play the D minor in front of that, we'd have this. 2 voices remaining the same, and 2 voices descending by step. And so we have the first inversion of the G7. So I'm just going to move this to the first 4 strings down here. Okay. So then we have the D minor 7, third inversion, going to the G7 in the first inversion. Okay, so we can play that. Now, what if we wanted, let's go back to where we started. So we have the D minor 7. What if we wanted to have a G9 maybe? And so I'm just going to take a second finger here on the 13th fret, lower it half step to the 12th fret. Okay, and so now I have this note remaining the same. So that becomes the 9 of the G7. Okay, and notice we can still take the 2, the second note from the highest note. This is 1, 2. We can still lower that an octave. We can still move this note over here and end up with this. Okay, so we play D minor in third inversion to the G9. In first inversion. So let's try that out on the first 4 strings too. So this, going to this. Okay, so when we are thinking about drop 2, it's just almost necessary on the guitar to play that way because the strings are tuned in fourths. We have a major third there, and fourth. So these are pretty pretty large intervals. So the closer that the notes are together, the harder it is going to be to play a chord, even just 4 notes. So if we were to play, even let's say C major 7, right, starting here, it's just very, very hard to play. Okay. Now, if we want to play drop 2 on this, we can lower this note down here, right? Bring this note in unison over here. Bring this note in unison over here. Keep this note the same. And then we have a nice, comfortable voicing to play. Okay. So then our root position chord, that's here. Once we take the second note from the highest note down an octave, we end up with the second inversion of the C major 7. So if you were playing, let's say, from the 7th position, and this one's not so hard to play, right? But still, if we take the second note from the highest, take it down an octave, right? Then we have the second inversion of the C major 7. So we have the 5th, root, 3rd, major 7. Okay, so if we try that out, let's see, anywhere else we have, let's say we have this. Again, we take this note. So just like we talked about before, so just an octave higher than this example. So we started with this rather than this, which is the same. So when you do go to play these and work them out, you might find it useful to think in terms of drop 2 and that kind of thing. Another perspective would be to try to build a chord, right? And then see what's practical on the guitar. And it turns out you will end up playing a drop voicing, right? So whatever you're playing. So if we have, let's say you end up with this chord. You take this low note, kind of working in reverse here. Take this note, bring it up an octave, right? Then you're finding you're playing like, something along those lines. So it becomes very, very difficult to play voicings that are simply in step. So like C major 7 here, you have 5th, 7, root, 3rd. It's pretty and it's nice, but really hard to play. So you can take this note down an octave, take this note, play it in unison over here, and just end up with this. So easier. Because sometimes when you're playing, unless you're playing a ballad and you're playing the guitar like in a special way where it's way up here like this, it's very hard to reach, and you can kind of do it, but trying to grab that in time at medium tempo or fast tempo tune may be very, very difficult. All right, well, I hope you enjoyed this episode, and please let me know if you have any questions or comments. I hope this was useful for you. And remember to subscribe to the YouTube channel. You can also follow me on Facebook and Twitter. And you can reach me at fretprince.com.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Fret Prince podcast. Be sure to rate and subscribe. You can also follow on Twitter and Facebook. Visit fretprince.com for articles,